They say a mother's love never dies. For Daniel Hart, that saying became terrifyingly true. After his mother's tragic passing, strange things began happening in the old family house. Whispers in the dark, cold touches at night, and the faint smell of her favorite perfume lingering long after her funeral. What started as grief slowly twisted into obsession, and what began as a desperate longing soon became a living nightmare. This is the story of Mother 2. The Return, a tale of sorrow, guilt, and the horrifying truth that sometimes love refuses to stay buried. Daniel Hart was 32 when his mother died. The house they had shared for so many years stood at the edge of the woods, a crumbling two-story relic filled with memories, old photographs, and the scent of the lavender oil she used to rub on her hands every single night. When the funeral ended and the last of the guests finally drove away, Daniel couldn't bring himself to leave the house. It just felt wrong, empty, deafeningly silent. He told himself he was only staying to sort through her things, but days turned into weeks. He found he could unbear to throw anything away. Not the worn dresses hanging in her closet, not the stacks of old letters tied with ribbon, not even the half-used cup of tea still sitting by the window, a ghostly ring marking where it rested. At night, he would fall asleep in her room, clutching the very blanket she'd knitted for him when he was just a child. Sometimes, in the deep quiet between midnight and dawn, he thought he could hear her humming from the hallway, the same soft lullaby she used to sing whenever he was scared. He dismissed it as his mind playing tricks, a symptom of his grief. He was wrong. The first time he heard her voice clearly, Daniel was sure he was dreaming. "Danny," it whispered, soft, familiar, so full of warmth it ached. He woke with a jolt. The room was dark, save for the faint, weak flicker of the lamp in the corner. His mother's favorite chair, the one she always used to knit in, was rocking gently, rhythmically, back and forth. He froze. Every window was shut tight. There was no wind. "Mum," he whispered into the oppressive silence. There was no answer. Only the slow, steady creak of aging wood. From that night on, the voice came more often. Sometimes it was faint, a ghostly echo calling his name from the far end of the hallway. Other times it was right beside his ear, a cold breath murmuring things he couldn't quite understand, the words lost in a static hiss. The air in the house grew colder, a persistent chill that clung to his skin, and every mirror began to fog up from the inside, as if someone were breathing on the other side of the glass. Still, Daniel didn't feel afraid. Not yet. He wanted to believe it was her. He needed to believe she was still with him, watching over him. He started talking back to the whispers, telling the empty rooms about his day, just like he used to. He'd leave out a fresh cup of tea for her every morning, and when he found it cold and untouched hours later, he'd simply pour it out and promise to make a warmer one tomorrow. His friends called, their voices thick with concern. "Daniel, you need to leave that house," they'd plead. "It's not healthy." He'd just thank them and hang up. They didn't understand. How could they? She was here. His mother was home one afternoon while sifting through a box of old photos. He found a picture of himself as a boy, standing beside his mother in the garden. In the photo, a strange, dark figure lurked in the background, almost hidden in the shadows of the trees. He'd never noticed it before. A shiver ran down his spine, a feeling that was different from the familiar cold in the house. This was a cold born of dread. That night, the rocking chair moved faster. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Danny," the voice pleaded, but this time it was laced with something else, something that sounded like fear. Frantic, Daniel tore through his mother's belongings, searching for, he wasn't even sure what, an answer, a clue. In the bottom of her bedside drawer, tucked beneath a stack of faded postcards, he found a small, leather-bound diary. Her handwriting, elegant and looping, filled the pages. He opened it to the last entry, dated the day before she died. His blood ran cold as he read the words she'd written. "It one T let me go. It wears my face. It calls my son's name. It isn't me." Suddenly, the house fell silent. The rocking chair stopped. The cold in the air vanished. For a moment, there was only the frantic hammering of his own heart. Then, a new sound. A slow, heavy scraping from the attic, directly above his head, dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floorboards. The whispers returned, but they were different now, twisted. The voice, once warm and familiar, was now a grotesque imitation. "Donnie," it rasped, a long, drawn-out sound that scraped at his sanity. "Come to Mother." Panic seized him. The diary fell from his trembling hands. This wasn't his mother. The love he had been clinging to, the presence he had welcomed, was a monstrous lie. The being in his house wasn't his mother's ghost. It was something else entirely, something that had been hiding in the shadows of his grief, feeding on his sorrow and love. He scrambled to his feet, his eyes darting towards the door. He had to get out, but as his hand reached for the doorknob, it turned on its own. The door creaked open slowly, revealing the pitch-black hallway. And from the darkness, 2 points of light flickered into existence, like cold, hateful stars. They weren't eyes, not human eyes. They were ancient and hungry. The lavender scent, once a comfort, was now thick and cloying, a funeral wreath choking the air. The thing that wore his mother's memory stepped out of the shadows. It was tall and gaunt, its form shifting and indistinct, but the face was hers, stretched into a terrifying, silent scream. It raised a long, shadowy arm, its fingers like black icicles, and pointed directly at him. Daniel finally understood. The house wasn't haunted by his mother's love. It was a cage, and he had been sharing it with her keeper. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning. This wasn't a return. It was an inheritance. And now, it was his turn to be loved forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this terrifying journey into Mother 2: The Return. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more tales that will keep you up at night, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what comes next. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Daniel's story. Until next time, stay safe and be careful who you welcome into your home.